It's go time. Welcome to Beaver Politics. This show is called Breaking the Dam, and I'm your host, Jana. We do this Saturday afternoons from 12 to 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Remember, tapping is clapping. It really helps get the live out there to more people, and we genuinely appreciate your efforts. Also, if you can share the live, if you're not a subscriber and you're interested in subscribing, it's just under $5 a month and it helps support our channel's work. All the money goes back into the channel, into just getting more. If you have a chance to join our team, Perry, you just stay as long as you can. Thank you. I appreciate that. So let me see if we have some guests that want to come up and chat. We're taking mostly friendlies right now. So let's see. Hey, Steve.
Hello.
How's your day going?
Hello.
Not bad.
Not bad. I'm just going to introduce Mivelgrind. Is that how you pronounce it, sir? Mivelgrind?
It's the username. You can call me MVL or Grind. Doesn't really matter.
MVL Grind? Okay. Can I just ask your age? Because I'm not familiar with you, and we have to ask that here.
Yeah, no problem. I'm 18.
18? And are you on the right or the left of politics right now?
I'm I'd say center right, leaning
Center right?
conservative.
Okay. So who are you planning on voting for?
Yeah, so I'm planning on voting for Pierre.
Okay. Can you tell us why?
Yes. So mostly in the economic issues. So, for example, taxes. He's going to lower taxes.
Let's talk about that first. Economically,
yeah.
you think that Pierre is going to do better than someone with a doctorate in global economics?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, even though Carney's a banker, it sounds like a fancy resume.
It's not
Like
a fancy
what he's
resume.
actually.
The guy put in 10 years of hard work to get
Yeah,
that.
I'm not saying he's stupid.
Yeah.
Sure, but the actual policies
Sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you all of a sudden. I'm just gonna. There we go. Got a
okay.
lot of background noise. You're
Yeah, so
still
the
getting a lot of background noise. Not sure what's going on there. Go on, MVL.
So the actual economic policies he's going to do, like cutting taxes for the lowest income bracket by 2.25%, while Carney's only 1%.
Stop. 25%. That's not accurate.
No, 2.25%.
That is more accurate. Yes. Go on.
Yeah. Also cutting the GST taxes on new homes under $1 million.
How is that going to help people who have a low income?
Well, it depends what you consider lower income. I mean, it's definitely going to help the middle class.
It'll help the upper middle class, not the lower middle class. If you can't afford a home now, the GST cut is not going to change anything because that's going to go to the builder.
No, it's also, well,
a GST cut is giving the builders, because it's only on brand new homes. So that gives the builders a 5% discount. It doesn't help the person buying the house at all. And it only helps people with a higher income. What our problem with housing in Canada is not a lack of housing, it's a lack of affordable housing. There's nowhere for people who don't have a higher income to live. That's our biggest problem. PP's plan does not do anything for them. It only helps people with a high income who can already afford a house.
Okay, well, it would help. It would help me afford my first home.
And Carney is doing the same thing with the GST.
Yeah, but
he's just also building houses that are affordable for people who cannot afford to buy right now, so that they can afford to rent or buy a house. That's what Carney's plan is doing, and I worry about them just as much as I worry about myself. I'm not low income. I don't have a low income, but I care about people that do.
Yeah, that's fair. But I don't believe Carney would actually do it. I think he's just saying it to get elected.
So you believe PP, but you don't believe Carney. Why?
Yeah, because PP's been saying it for a long time.
No, he's been saying it for a few months. That's not a long time.
Carney's just saying it to get elected because he's taking all of Poilievre's good policies, or what he deems to be good, and saying he's going to do it so he can win.
He is taking away the carbon tax because of the whole PP thing. Absolutely, it's because of that. Because
Okay,
PP
so
has made it so divisive that even though I got more money back on the carbon tax checks than I ever paid on carbon tax, I'm going to miss my checks. But he's taking it away because PP turned it into such a big deal, he didn't really have a choice. And PP
well,
is
ever
just
since
off in Brookfield for the people in the chat, so he has nothing to stand on with that. Rockstar.
the carbon tax was lowered, gas prices has come down.
That's not because of the carbon tax. That's because Carney released some gas. I don't know how it works exactly, but he did something to lower it. It has nothing to do with the carbon tax.
It does.
Anybody else know more about that than I do? Want to come up? Because it doesn't have to do with the carbon tax. And I don't feel like spending an hour looking into it right now. But let's move on to housing. What about our problem with homelessness and low income housing? People are complaining about it like crazy. How is PP helping with that?
Yeah. Okay. Well, Carney's plan is to accept so many more immigrants that at the end of the day, we're just not going to have any housing for them.
It's the provinces that have been requesting immigrants to do low income jobs.
No, but Poilievre will reduce immigration from around 500K to
And then who is
250K.
going to do the jobs? Just like the
Well, we're still
United
gonna have
States, they
plenty
got rid of
of.
immigration. Now they've got fruit rotting on the vines because they have no workers to pick it. They're having a
No,
food
we're still gonna have
crisis.
immigration.
Hmm.
I'm not saying to cut all immigration. We're still gonna have immigration. Just at the end of the day,
We'll
we
see.
can't accept everyone.
I agree. You can't accept everyone, but we do need to. Canada is built on immigration. We are a country of immigrants. Only the indigenous call this land their natural home. We are colonizers here. And we bring over more immigrants to fill jobs that people in Canada either can't do or won't do. And it's the same thing in the States. If we get rid of immigration, we are going to have a problem with all of the people that employ people on minimum wage or just around that area.
Exactly. That's why I want to keep immigration like Poilievre does. Is you just have to reduce it right now
Well, what is
because there's
reducing? What's his number?
like I told you 250K.
It's not a lot of people. I don't know. I will look into that.
I
You
think
know what? I will look into that, but I'm never voting for PP. But I am curious about his immigration plan. I don't think PP
that's
has. I have a lot of problems with PP. But let's continue here. What would be the next thing? What is your next thing that you like about him?
all right. So I like that he's gonna give more autonomy to the provinces.
So is Carney. He's talking about building one Canada and not individual. So you want the opposite. You want the provinces to be more independent.
Exactly. Yeah. I want more
So
provinces
we don't depend
independent.
on each other, and we can't depend on the United States right now. Um, so what do you suggest we do then? Give in to the United States and bend at the knee?
No, not at all. Poilievre
I'm having a hard time
will
hearing you.
build a
You're
strong.
really low sometimes. Go ahead.
Sorry. So no, Poilievre's plan against Trump is very simple. So basically, our sovereignty is non-negotiable,
Yes,
and
agreed.
he's gonna remove all tariffs, reciprocal, their tariffs, our tariffs, all tariffs, and gonna bring a and we're gonna start being more reliant on ourselves by building pipelines,
Why is he
mines.
taking away the tariffs when we're being tariffed?
No. He's gonna take away all the tariffs we put against them if they take him away that they put against us.
I'm what?
He's
Canadians
tariffs gonna
go.
take away our
Well, he
reciprocal
said he was
tariffs
going to take
when
away the reciprocal tariffs, our tariffs. Why would we do that?
yeah, we would do that after Trump takes away the tariffs they're going to put against us.
Of course, and Carney probably would do the same thing. But right
Yeah,
now,
he
while
would,
there
but
are
it's not
tariffs in
going to get
place, I
done.
believe we should have reciprocal tariffs.
Yeah, me too.
I feel like, and what about selling out our resources? Because he's talked about this, selling all these resources we have. We should just sell them all to the United States. What are your thoughts on that?
No, he's saying the opposite. He's saying we shouldn't be as reliant as the U.S.
And
as
then
we should,
and then in another
as we
breath,
are.
he says that we have a bunch of water and other resources we could get rid of, or not get rid of, we could sell to the United States and be rich. What do you think about that?
I mean, that's great. We should exploit our resources.
Okay, you think we should sell our resources. So do you think water is something that just regenerates? We have limited
No,
supplies of things. We can't just, if the more we give
we have
away
one of the
and sell, the less we
most
have.
water supply in the world.
And who should be deciding what happens with our land?
Well, us.
Us. Do you think that maybe the indigenous should have a say in it?
Uh, sure.
Okay, he's talking about cutting the red tape. What do you think he's talking about? The red tape is the indigenous because we have a duty to consult. They get final say on these things, and most
Yeah,
indigenous
I agree
probably
with
don't want to sell
I
our
agree with
land.
cutting the red tape.
So you want to cut that. You want to cut the indigenous consultation.
Yeah, it's more important to build a stronger economy
We made deals.
than
We have treaties that we signed in good faith. So you're just
Mhm.
saying screw them. Screw the treaties.
I'm not saying screw them. I'm not saying screw.
Well, when you're saying to
But
circumvent the treaties, that's kind of what you're saying. And
well, I do
Treaty
believe
Bird,
I
if
do
you want
believe
to come up,
indigenous.
I would love you to talk about this because you know a lot more about this than me, if you're interested. Treaty Bird knows a lot about Indigenous rights, as does Pasty Native. I'm not sure what your knowledge base is, but if you want to add to anything.
I know more when it comes to Indigenous history. I used to go with my mom to her Indigenous study courses in university.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, we got
I
Treaty
don't
Bird.
know a whole lot. When it comes to the actual treaties, I need to do more research.
Yeah, Treaty Bird. Thank you for coming up. Did you have any thoughts on this? That's a loaded question, isn't it?
Yeah,
Go
I've
ahead.
got some thoughts. All right. So the treaties are a commitment for us to share these lands and all of its resources with the newcomers.
Mhm.
And by law, so historically, Canada and the provinces have not been upholding their own laws or honoring those treaties and upholding the honor of the crown. They have been manipulating these resources for the benefit of other Canadians since the establishment of this country. But we've been winning in the courts since the 70s,
Mhm.
which has created legal precedents and laid the legal groundwork for us to have involvement in the natural resource management in this country through the duty to consult and other ways.
Mhm.
So that means that Canada and the provinces have to ensure that the development of natural resources doesn't negatively impact First Nations, Métis, and Inuit rights.
Exactly.
And so we are getting that's enshrined in law, that's enshrined in the Constitution, that's enshrined in the honor of the crown.
Yeah.
And Mr. Polyev doesn't respect any of those things. And he will do what he can to write legislation and policy to avoid those obligations.
Yeah, and unlike PP, Carney's plan has the Indigenous embedded in every single layer. It's not its
Yeah.
separate thing. It's in every single area.
Absolutely.
He
And
addresses that.
he stated publicly that the Indigenous people should be the people that are managing the wildlife and the waters. You know, I do note he didn't specifically say resources,
Hmm.
but I don't think the door is closed for that conversation.
I don't think so either. I think I've read some of his policies, and the Indigenous are always included in every policy, not an afterthought later.
Yeah.
You know?
So we can't just be selling off these resources. It's already been done already. China owns how we should do, I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but I encourage this young man to look into how much of the mineral rights are sold off in Alberta and who owns them. A lot of it is China.
Yeah.
A lot of it is the United States.
Yeah.
So we don't want to be there anymore.
No, and I just and mines, like especially coal mines, like open pit mines, diamond mines, they're very dangerous to work in too. Like, and it's not, they're bad for the environment, and they're dangerous to the people that are working in them. So
Yes,
yes, it creates more
absolutely.
jobs, but it creates high risk jobs. Cave-ins happen. That's just one of the risks. And you can only do so
Absolutely.
much digging. Like, I was watching somebody else's live. You can only do so much digging in so many areas at a time before collapse is going to happen. And it's very dangerous. Did you want to add anything, MVL? Brian, any thoughts on what Treaty has said?
Yeah. Yeah. So you believe we shouldn't start exploiting more resources like gas resources, mines, pipelines?
We need to do it carefully. That's the thing. It needs to go through the Indigenous, and it needs to be done very carefully for both environmental protection and general safety of the people working there.
Yeah, and for your future, it needs to be done sustainably. We need to start putting some of the old projects to bed and remediating, so cleaning them up and reclaiming or restoring them ideally, putting them back to a natural place. We're not doing that at the same rate that we're taking. So we
So,
have, and that's the mistakes of the past. And we have to rectify it, or I'm sorry, my friend, your future is bleak. Food and water insecurity is in your future. It's in my future, and I'm 56 years old.
mhm.
And you said that Canada has a lot of water. I've seen data showing that we may only have 25 years of accessible clean drinking water left in Canada for all people.
That's a big deal.
It is. But you know what, Jana? I'm really sorry. We have some errands we need to run because
No,
I've been
that's
on the
okay. I'm
road all
glad you were
week.
able to come up for a minute
Yeah,
and talk on
yeah,
this.
I have. Me too. So have a great show, and I'll see you soon.
You as well. Thanks, Treaty. Have a great day.
Yeah. So Carney has in place Bill C-69,
Oh,
which
the
makes it
supposed no
impossible.
pipelines bill, which is actually not a no
Yeah, the no
pipelines bill, but
pipelines
that's
bill.
what Carney or what BP calls it, and Danielle Smith. It's not a no pipelines bill. And Treaty just came up again. I think she might want to talk on this quick. Did
For
you want to add
God's
something?
sake,
I know. It's not a no pipelines bill. Just because someone calls it that
it's
doesn't make it that.
yes, it's not. This is what I do for a living. I've been an environmental protection subject matter expert for 28 years. So this bill was just reestablishing some of the powers that the Canadian Environmental Assessment Act, Fisheries Act, and other protection acts have had that Harper stripped away. So it's just designed to strengthen the bills to ensure that we're protecting the environment for future generations. We're building the best possible projects and holding the corporations accountable to that, at the same time as considering the rights of Indigenous people, understanding how we can avoid impacts to Indigenous people while including them in a meaningful way in the project. That's all it is. It's not no pipelines, it's just let's build the best pipelines.
And safely, and in an
Yes,
environmentally sound way, not just willy nilly.
absolutely.
Let's just plow through.
Right? 100%. So, okay, on that note, I really do have to go.
I know, Sweetie. Thank you so much.
See you.
Appreciate you. Bye.
Bye.
So just because the Conservatives slap a fun label on it that gets attention doesn't mean it's so. Read the bill yourself if you don't believe me. I've read it.
No, I've read it too, but it just makes it harder to
But so it should.
get pipelines.
So it should, because we do need to protect the Indigenous have rights. We've signed treaties with them. And we also need to monitor, again, environmental safety and impact. You can't just plow through everything. It shouldn't be that easy. That's how damage happens to the environment. It needs to be researched. It needs to be studied by people who know what they're doing and done in a safe, intelligent manner.
Yeah, but the thing is that Canada already has like a net zero of carbon because we have so many
Awesome.
trees that we're at a net zero.
Are we?
So
I don't think that's true, but go on.
no, that is true. But
No, we
I feel
work
like
on our
we
carbon
should,
so that we are net zero, but it's not just the trees. It's also the work that we do.
Yeah, sure. But I feel like right now the economy should be more important than the environment because we're already one of the most environmental friendly countries in the world.
How about we do both? How about we get someone who is a global economist who actually knows deeply about how to manage finances and the economy over someone who had to get special courses on economics after he became an MP through the parliament because he was so bad at it. And that's actually true.
I don't
Go
think
ahead
there's
and
anything
look into
wrong with
that.
getting courses.
There's nothing wrong with getting a better education. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that that's not his area. Maybe he's great at other things. I don't know. But economics, it's not my strong suit. I would never run for prime minister because economics, not my strong suit. But I'm going to pick somebody who has the background and history and success in that business, who's been praised by many people, including PP's mentor, Harper, who's taken it back now. But sorry, you can't take backsies. We have it on video, him praising the snot out of him back in 2008 when he saved us from another recession.
No, Harper saved us,
No,
not
he
Carney.
didn't. Carney did. And he gave Carney all the credit back then. I could find you a clip if you need to hear it.
Yeah, he was being nice.
No, he was not just being nice. He was, oh, so he's a liar then, is what you're saying. So either Harper is a liar back then or he's a liar now because he's saying two conflicting things.
No, back then I saw the clip. He said that like Carney did a great job and that now the United Kingdom needs him more than we do.
Yeah, and they did, and he helped them there. And Brexit, he
Yeah, that's
suggested
just a
against it, and
nice,
they did it
respectful
anyway.
way. It's just a nice, respectful way of like saying,
No,
okay, bye to someone in your administration.
he was extremely, no, that was not, I saw the clip. He was very genuine about his feelings then. Now he's taken it back because his little protege is who he wants in. But you don't get to take backsies. Let's give Smartsheet. Did you want to add something, Smartsheet?
What are we talking about today, lovely?
We are talking about just everything. I didn't have a topic for today because I thought, it's so close to the election. It's only less than or a little more than 2 weeks. I thought maybe just have a free forum to discuss how we're feeling.
Um, I'm feeling discouraged because
Mm-hmm.
um, with the election coming really close,
Yeah.
I got more information thrown at me, and I'm like, how much can one person handle?
More information. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff and a lot of it, like there's a lot of the problem that I have is that it's not all good information and we get all this frankly twisting and lies and attacks from the conservative side that takes time to investigate and then you just find out it's not substantiated. But it's all the
right,
time spent in fact checking is exhausting
right.
sometimes. That's
Yeah,
that's probably what's exhausting me the most is the fact checking.
right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
there's an
80% of
echo.
the time it's not true, so I've wasted my time looking into something that I
Right,
just find out is false, you know?
there's an echo.
Oh, is there? I'm gonna put my headphones on then. It happens sometimes when I'm on these lives, so just give me a minute to set them up. I was recharging my headphones.
Oh, okay.
Just got to connect my Bluetooth. Just give me one. Oh, wrong space. There it is. So yeah, like it's a lot of work. This is a lot of work, and it's a lot of emotional work too, because I am genuinely scared.
Yeah,
There we
so
go.
am
All
I
set up.
too, right?
I'm genuinely
And
like I know we're doing great in the polls. But I'm scared that people aren't going to get out and vote. That's my fear.
right,
Polls mean nothing unless people get off their butts and go out and vote.
right. And the person at the bottom, I've had a conversation with them on Missy's Live, and they're trying to tell me that Harper, or not Harper, Carney is hypocritical because of whatever reason, but he can't seem to understand when I tell him if you're going to put the blame on Carney for being hypocritical, so is Paul Yes.
You
And you
can.
can't conflate unaliving someone, sir, to someone bringing in an undocumented immigrant for so many years, and then all of a sudden in 2023 magically get their citizenship because someone in the conservative office helped them out. That's hypocritical.
Who is that, Pochashi? This is a story I don't know.
Oh yeah, so Polyev's wife's uncle came into this country undocumented from Roxham Road and has been living here. And then in 2022 or 2023, he magically got his citizenship passed through.
Yeah. So yeah, like
But
PP
it was
is not clean on his
no.
side of things. He won't get his. What do you think about his security check, security clearance? Because I've heard a lot of BS about why he won't get one.
Mm-mm.
It does not stop him from doing his job. Jagmeet Singh has his. Elizabeth May has hers. Carney has his. Trudeau had his. There is absolutely no excuse for PP not to get his. It is not going to tie his hands. Experts have come out and said that that's bullshit. And on top of
No, it's
that,
because he won't be able to speak out on many
that's not
issues.
true. That's not true. He's lying to you.
You know Mulcair, old NDP leader.
No,
He
I
actually
don't.
came out and said that you don't know Mulcair.
No, I just don't.
Okay, well, that's fine. Well, he used to be the NDP leader, and he actually came out and said that Polyev shouldn't get his security clearance because it would
And I've
it would
seen
not allow him
experts.
to do his job
My
correctly.
husband was in the army. He was a veteran. He had to get a security clearance every goodness. I think it was every year it had to go through. But at the very least, it's every 5 years just to work in the army. And the leader of our country, the person who wants to be the leader of our country, thinks that he's too good to get his, and he's scared it's going to keep him from talking. I don't believe that.
There's too much.
I've
It gives me uncertainty that a man wants to run our country, like Jana said, and I agree with Jana. But here's the thing: it doesn't silence anyone because Carney got his, Jagmeet got his. Um, all of the MPs have theirs, and why is he not getting his? But he wants to run our country and say, "Oh no, no, I care about Canadians." No, he cares about himself and
and
his rich cronies,
his last one
and he
was
doesn't
10
give a
years ago. 10 years is too
yeah,
long. That means nothing. Is security clearance 10 years ago means nothing.
yeah. And the thing is, that really bugs me about this, Jana. I'm sorry.
Hmm.
It's the fact that he was there when Harper sold us to China for 31 years and smiled about it.
Oh yeah, and now he's complaining. Now China's the enemy, but he's the one that was
Right?
smiling when when he was signing the deal. And I'm not
And
saying
it was
China's
a
the enemy. I'm saying that PP is acting like China's the enemy,
right.
and she's the one that was smiling while he
He
signed
couldn't
that.
expose the names. You're
Nope.
asking you're asking why Trudeau didn't expose. Trudeau was not allowed to expose it. It was called a closed investigation.
Hmm.
When you have an open or closed investigation, you are sworn by CSIS and the RCMP to not leak any information. That's how it works.
He is making up excuses that are just not true. They've been debunked by experts. His other excuse, what was his other excuse? That he didn't need it because he had one 10 years ago. No,
No,
that's not the way
no,
security clearances work.
the newest one was, oh, I'll be silenced. I won't be able to speak in the House of Commons.
Yeah,
I don't
no.
think, regardless whether he has his clearance or not, I don't think he should be speaking in Parliament because the way he talks about people of demographics is gross.
Hmm. And the way he's talked about Indigenous people is gross. And his love for Johnny McDonald is gross.
Is gross. It's really creepy now.
It's gotten really creepy, actually, because he won't let it go of it. He talks about it, I think, at every rally. His rally size thing is gross. He is.
And
Do you not see? I'm curious about this MVL. Do you not see the comparisons to Trump with him, or are you pro Trump?
No, I'm not pro Trump.
I'm glad to hear
I
that.
feel like I see way more similarities with Carney and Trump. They're both like
Oh, please share.
elitists.
I
They're
know
both elitists.
they're not elitists, and
Carney,
PP has over $25 million and has
that's not
parties
true.
for the
No,
elites.
no, no,
He
no.
has
I
parties for
know,
the elites. That is absolutely true.
I know
The
his net
25
worth
million I
that
know
he.
is a little bit sketchy, but he is rich. He has a lot of money. He's been living off our dime. I've done his income. He makes more money than Trudeau did.
yeah,
Lots more, like more
Trudeau is
than
very
double, I
rich.
think.
Trudeau is like found no. Trudeau is worth like almost 100 million.
I'm merely saying I don't
Poilievre is.
care. Okay, can I talk for a second? I don't care what Trudeau is worth. I'm saying that as prime minister, Trudeau made less money than PP is making as the opposition. Do you understand that?
Yeah, because Poilievre's
PP
been there
makes a ton of
for
money because he's
so
been in the
long.
office for 20. He's a lifetime politician. He's the thing that you guys were rallying against for years. Lifelong politicians, and now you want to put in a lifelong no policy. He's not passed a single policy in 20 years. He makes fun of Jagmeet Singh. Jagmeet Singh, he's passed policies.
Yeah,
PP has
and
never passed one.
oh, he did get some past the Senate, but Congress, Supreme
He
Court
got
shut it down because it was they were both
unconst-
unconstitutional.
unconstitutional. Yeah,
Yeah,
unconstitutional. He can't even write a proper bill. His bill was unconstitutional.
No, he passed the Economic Act policy
no, he didn't. He couldn't
with
pass
Harper.
it.
With Harper, that he
Harper
didn't.
did.
That Harper did that. He didn't. He has zero. Go look at his. Go look at our website for the Canadian government. It has all the policies that people passed, and he has zero.
Okay, I just want to say this high. Dynamite talking about the Indigenous. The Liberals actually did more. This Liberal Party did more for the Indigenous people. They clean drinking water. We have out of 100 and I think 40 states, we have 35 clean drinking water advisories. That's a really big step in the right direction. And you know what? Polyev wants to send us all, non-status and status Indigenous people, to reserves.
Hmm.
So keep that in mind. If you're conservative, if you're an Indigenous person voting for conservative, that's fine. But when you get put on a reserve from your house and they take away your housing, you're not going to like what they're going to do. They're going to starve us out. That's what they're doing. They're
That's
starting
Dynamite.
right
unfair.
now.
That's
Dynamite.
fear
They got
mongering.
a lot of clear. I
No,
just
it's
want to.
not.
Okay, I just
It's
want to
not.
cut in for a sec. A Dynamite in the comments is talking about where is the clean water. They've done amazing things for the clean water. We're not there yet, but they got, what was it? I could look it up. There's 34, I think, sites that are left over, and there was 150-ish sites. And
Yeah.
the person before, what was his name again? Let me think here. Oh, PP's mentor did nothing, zero, nothing,
Oh, did you read the Harper decade that I sent in the Discord?
not yet. I'll
Because
have
I'm
to read
about to
that.
start
Harper was
reading it
awful.
today. Oh yeah,
Oh,
you should read some of the stuff that was in there that I heard from the video.
I was in
I
my
could only
20s under
put one.
Harper. It was terrible. It was terrible.
Under Harper, I was probably 18. Well, no, I was in my early 20s under Harper.
Yeah, yeah. And I remember Harper just I could barely afford to live. I was living in Toronto on my own with a boyfriend, and we just scraped by every month. If it would we would have been in trouble at least a couple of times if our parents hadn't been able to bail us out. So all the people talking about how people could buy houses back then and it was so much easier. Not for all of us, no, not at all. My husband joined the military so that we could get a down payment to buy a house, and he died because of it. So things were not easier back then.
Right.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm very sorry about your husband. Uh, Secondly, but what do you think about 0.5% GDP growth in the last 10 years? I think just this just symbolizes to me that we need a change from the Liberal Party, and that was going to be the
We
Conservative
needed a
Party who's going to
change,
boost
and,
our
and I'm glad
economy.
to have Carney coming in. Carney is not Trudeau, and that's I know PP spends a lot of time trying to hammer that into your head that Carney is the same as Trudeau. They have very different backgrounds and very different ideas about how to do things. That's like saying, for example, if you have a really great basketball team but they're doing terrible, and you change the coach out, they might win the next round because the coach is different. That's what's happening here. The coach is different, and that does change everything.
Oh, absolutely. You've got a lot of background, MVL, just so you know.
Yeah, you might want to just mute when you're not talking because there's a lot of background noise. Um, so I disagree with you 100%. I think PP is the last thing we need. I think he aligns way too close. And please tell me again, like other than the whole elite thing, which is funny because PP has very rich parties for very rich people. And that is a fact. I'm not going to bother with his money because we can't really be sure of that. But we are sure that he has parties for rich people. That's who he's catering to right now. And that's who his policies are going to help. Oh, actually, I can't even call them policies. Where are his policies? Where are they written? NVL. I'd like to read his policies.
Uh, Through the Conservative Party website, you can search up
That's from
conservative.
2023. Where's his new stuff? He's bringing out all
No,
kinds of.
it's his policies. He referenced it. He said you should look up my
No,
policies.
his
Yeah, he
tax
has
cut
to
is
a
not in
reporter.
there. His tax cut is not in there.
No, because that's
His
very recent. So
and Carney releases paper automatically when he releases a policy. So
Okay,
where is
so
yeah, because he's prime minister right now.
MVL,
Yeah,
uh,
what?
this,
yeah, because Carney's prime minister right now, so he can
That has
obviously get
so Carney
things
has
done
less
quicker.
time to do this stuff, but yet it's happening. And PP's not
It's,
releasing his policies, his new policies. They're not anywhere to read. Where Carney's all are. Every time he talks about something, you can go read about it on his website.
Right.
He's not doing the same thing.
Okay, if you're not talking, can you please mute? That noise is really aggravating my brain. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I'm gonna just mute you when you're not talking, Milk Grind.
Yeah, because when you have a bad hockey team, you don't get rid of the whole team. You get rid of the coach. The coach is the problem. Trudeau stepped down. Carney got in. He is going to make us a better country. He wholeheartedly is behind people. He went on to say that people in this country should be able to love who they love and be who they are without any discrimination at all. That is
Mm-hmm.
a far better deal than what PP wants to do. I'm sorry, I can't get behind Polyev. I
No.
don't want a failed DJ or a failed paperboy or a non-secured person running our country.
Mm-hmm.
Pierre is also for like any like gay
No, he's
marriage, all
not.
of that. Yes,
No,
you
he's
come,
not.
come
No,
on,
he's
come
not.
on.
No, he
Yes,
is
he
not,
is.
sir.
That's
He's
come on.
his father-in-law is gay and he doesn't like him because of it.
And he
No,
voted against same-sex marriage when his
He did.
father was in Parliament. He
Go
did.
look at the
Oh,
no.
votes. Go look at the votes. He's also not for women's right to choose. He's voted against women's right to choose. And
He
he
said
worded,
very clearly at a
yes,
recent
very clearly
interview.
that he specifically won't bring forth a policy. He specifically. He never said his
No, he
party won't.
can I make a comment to the whole thing when it
Please,
comes to the
please,
2S
Tasty Native.
LGBTQ? Okay,
I would love to
so
hear it.
in the policy disclosure from 2023, it states that he will impact a trans person's right to access care. It also states, and I'm paraphrasing at this point because I had to read it for my show that is on the Beaver Network, which, if you'd like to, you can go back and watch it on YouTube. But they will go after trans rights, they will go after
Mm-hmm.
women's rights. They want to pass a bill which in turn would make it illegal to get an abortion or be illegal for the doctors performing it.
Yep.
that's
Affects
totally untrue.
everyone.
It's not.
In the
It's not.
Conservative
I
If
wish
you
it was
Party,
untrue, but it's
in
not.
the
It's right in the
Conservative Party
policy.
of Canada, in the Conservative Party of Canada policies, you can go on quickly on abortion,
I
and
have.
it says a conservative government will not it will not legislate abortion. They
They
will
don't.
literally
It's a
not
law.
change
They
anything.
can't. They can't. But they can make it.
It's
They cannot give
unconstitutional.
money. They cannot give money to the provinces for women's health care. Did he ever say he was going to help support women's health care, or did he just say he's not going to interfere?
he also wants to make it legal for religious uh,
Persecution.
organizations to discriminate against everyone that they feel goes against what they stand for. So that includes gay, trans, possibly indigenous and colored people.
Yep.
Yes, well, people of color and indigenous people are, and the 2S LGBTQIA plus is his first target. They're already starting
Yeah.
it.
And my
He has,
understanding is
and
And
and I
he
don't
also wants to
understand.
make it legal. Sorry, Marshy, go ahead.
I just don't understand why an 18-year-old thinks he knows more than us. It's hilarious
it's an
at
18-year
this
old thing,
point.
I think.
I think they know. They think they know everything, and he's blind to what he's talking about because he doesn't know what he's talking about because neither does Polyev. Polyev
Yep.
came out and said he's got a plans. He's got a three-step plan: to make a plan, to delay the plan, and to execute the plan.
That's
Those are
such a
his
great plan.
policies. Yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
such a great plan.
There's also legislation that would be most likely put into effect that allows doctors to refuse care to people who are within the queer community, who are
Hmm.
indigenous, women requesting
125.
abortions,
I'm looking for
and the
125.
bill
Yeah, go ahead.
the bill that he's attempted to put through more than once that gives the fetus the right of a
Mm-hmm.
person
Let me
will
read this.
in
This is right
turn,
from there. Can I jump in, Tasty? This is right from their thing.
yeah,
The
go.
Conservative Party supports legislation to ensure that individuals who commit violence against a pregnant woman would face additional charges if her unborn child were killed or injured during the commission of a crime against the mother. That is sneaky. He is trying to give fetal rights under the guise
I agree with
of
that bill. I agree with that bill.
that is sneaky. And it's not just,
Okay, so
it's going to change. Trust me. It's not going to just be people who are, it's charges if an unborn child were killed or injured during the commission of a crime. They could consider abortion a crime.
yeah,
No, can I? No, can I give? Can you give me 30 seconds to explain why that's good? Okay.
Sure, I'd love to hear it.
I love
Okay.
mansplaining.
So basically, it's pro-life or pro-choice. The Conservative Party is pro-choice. Yes,
No, they're not.
fetuses and
They vote.
fetuses have, please, fetuses have some rights, but it can only
No,
be
they don't.
terminated. It
They
can only
don't,
be
Canada.
terminated.
They only
Please,
have rights
it
if
can,
we give it to them. They don't have
it
Okay,
rights in
can.
Canada.
here's the thing. We're gonna let you say your
I asked
spiel,
for
and then
30 seconds, please.
I'm gonna ask you something after your 30-second spiel. Go.
Okay, go on.
Okay, so being pro-choice means that you respect the choice of the mother to do what she deems is better for her and her potential baby. Killing, or no, sorry, not TikTok right now. Yeah, pew-pewing that child is taking away the pro-choice aspect from abortion.
Okay, so now that you said that, okay, I'm gonna ask you two questions, and it's gonna lead up to what you're talking about. So that fetus, if say I get pregnant tomorrow, that fetus, whose resources is it that it's leeching off of? Whose body does the fetus belong to? Do I belong to the fetus, or does the fetus belong to me?
The fetus belongs to you. That's why I'm not against
Okay,
abortion.
okay, okay, okay. So again, giving the fetus personhood is giving a clump of cells personhood because life begins. And if you're a Christian, like I believe you are, in the Bible, it does say it is okay with abortion. And in the Bible, it actually says, I give you life once I breathe into your nose. That does not happen with a clump of cells because they don't have a nose until they are fully formed and born. So again, your logic,
I don't really care what the Bible says.
well, you should if you're a Christian.
No, the Bible is
Anyway,
against
can I
many
just
things I'm
cut in
for.
here? What he's doing is giving a fetus personhood so that the next step they can take is that you cannot get abortions because the fetus is a person. It's that simple. It's a trick because PP is tricky.
He's a con man. He's a
Yeah,
con.
he
He's
doesn't
a
come straight
conservative.
out.
They're
It's
con.
like his tax cut. He doesn't advertise it as 2.25. He advertises it as 15%. So people are going to
Yes.
believe that it's going to be a 15% tax cut when it's not.
And
That's
and
deceptive.
I've already tried explaining this to you, MVL, that when he does the housing plan, what it's going to do is it's going to give rights to landlords, not to the tenants. They have to build a house that has a rental suite on it. That's the only way you're going to
More
be able to
rent,
buy a first time
more,
home.
yeah, more people who can
More corrupt corporate landlords. That's what we're going to have. We're not going to save the
exactly.
housing crisis, but Carney wants to go above the limit of housing we're supposed to build, and he wants to put 500 houses per year.
Of
That's what he wants to
affordable
do.
houses,
Oh, yeah,
affordable,
affordable housing.
not $500,000
So
homes,
I really,
affordable
really
homes.
implore you to look deep inside before you vote conservative. It's your choice. But if you vote conservative and they start taking away your rights as a
Hmm.
cishet male, do not come complain to us and say, "Well, now they're taking our rights." Well, you know
No,
what? We tried to warn you guys.
well, he's in the
This
safe
is a
demographic.
warning.
He's a cis white male, and that they're the only ones that are fairly safe. Everybody else is screwed, and
I'm
you should care about
definitely
that.
screwed.
You should care
I'm
about that.
for Jenna. I'm totally screwed if he gets in. I'm
I know,
indigenous. I'm a woman, and I have a fully functioning uterus,
I
and I'm
know.
disabled. Yeah,
Yep.
I'm screwed. They're gonna get rid of me first before and all the other people.
Oh, more about the WEF. Oh, Ron, the WEF is a nonprofit organization. The IDU is the scary one. They don't even have anything on their freaking website. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
The
and guess
IDU,
who's in charge? Guess who's the
Harper.
chairman of that? Harper. And guess what? Your pensions are not going to be your pensions because Harper's going to be in control of it.
Yeah.
It's really scary to think that you guys think that this guy is safe for our country.
Well, because they believe PP's BS, because he's the one that attacks the WEF and tells them lies about it that they believe.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
There's
Jana.
nothing on the WEF website. I've looked at it many times, and it's huge. It's huge. So I'm not going to say I've looked into everything because there is tons of information in there.
Run.
But unlike the IDU that I could read in 5 minutes. Do you know what their mission statement is? It's a picture of Harper. Like they have, it's a ridiculous website, and they are a far right fascio-Christian, uh, government lobbying, openly right wing government lobbying Christo-fascist organization. They're the ones that scare me. If you want to look into scary, look at the IDU and read between the lines. Critical
Oh,
thinking.
Jenna, did you catch the clip where Laura Schumer, a
Yeah.
U.S. congressperson, was
Hmm.
talking about how she could help get Polyev to win the election?
No,
That's election interference.
it is. And well, Elon Musk is, I worry about
Yep.
him getting involved, and he'll probably do it at the last minute, so that we can't bring him to court or anything before the election. If he does it, he's going to wait until the last minute. You watch.
Yes, but if he does that, we can revoke his citizenship
And I hope we
after
do.
he does this.
Yep, I hope we do if he does it. We'll see. I'm just waiting. I figure it's going to be another week or so. Oh, let me pull up. I've got another couple requests. Let's see who we have here. Um, we've got the real Clark Kent and healing through meditation. There we go.
Hi,
Hello.
Healy.
Hi. Hi, the real Clark Kent. Did you want to tell us your name? Because I'm not familiar, or you're not your name, your age. I'm just not familiar with you.
I'm 48 and
48.
from Alberta.
Oh,
Okay.
you're from Trustford too.
And are you on the right or left of politics right now?
I'm on the left.
Okay.
I'm also
Uh,
part of the labor movement in Alberta.
you're part of the what? The right wing movement?
Labor movement.
Oh, so you
Sorry.
want to separate? Is that?
No, 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 no.
No.
I'm
Okay.
part of the Alberta labor movement union.
Okay. And did you want to add anything to the conversation right
Well,
now?
I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, I just find it really interesting that I popped into the live when you were talking about Harper,
Mm-hmm.
and at least in Alberta, Danielle Smith, she basically named him to run our pension manager, which is
Oh,
AIMCO.
great. Yes.
And so basically, he's I want to say, director of it. He doesn't have direct management over our funds as separate pensions. There's at least three different public sector pensions. There's the LAPP, there's the PSP, and then there's the Special Forces Pension Plan, which firefighters, police
Yeah.
services, corrections pay into. So, and yeah, there's a big worry amongst the labor movement.
Fair. I don't
You
trust
know,
Harper. I don't trust
no,
Smith.
I wouldn't.
So Smith has already been caught in that health scandal and going over
No,
the state. Like,
she's
there's so much with Smith that's horrible. I just don't even know where to start. And it's so bad that PP has asked Smith not. I believe PP has asked Smith not to be involved in promoting him now because
yeah.
she's so hated right
Not
now
to
Well,
in
mention,
Canada.
I thought it was really bad when Jason Kenney was in office, and then he basically decided to leave, but Danielle Smith comes along and says, "Here, hold my beer," and then
yeah,
the
the
whole
whole
thing
shit.
has gone to shit. Pardon my
Hmm.
language.
The real. Can I say one thing? Kenny didn't get asked to stand down. Um, he did happen to he resigned because it was either you resign or we fire you. So he had to resign. He didn't. He
Yeah.
didn't do anything nobly. It was either you resign or we fire you and you don't get your pension. He resigned because he wanted his pension. And yes,
Yeah.
Danielle is hated by a majority of Albertans. Trashburner hates her because she's the trash in Alberta.
Yeah, I'm Albertan, and
It'll
I
be
am
trash.
definitely not a fan of Danielle Smith. She's been
Nope.
trashing she's trashing everything, ripping apart our healthcare. She's selling our healthcare out to Covenant Health, who is a Catholic organization that don't believe in abortions. So guess what? That they're not going to
Oh,
provide.
no, no. And you want to know what's really even funny? Is now she's taking it as far as selling our healthcare to a U.S. organization so she can fully privatize our healthcare.
Yep. Which how is privatizing ever going to save us money? It's never going to. Look at the United States system. It just inflates. I want to give healing through meditation a quick chance to talk. Did you want to add anything, healing? Are you still
Hi
there?
there.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm still here. Just thank you for letting me in because I got to get going here right away. But I was just listening to the conversation, and the people that I've been speaking to, unfortunately, are telling me that for their jobs, I know we're oil and gas, and I work for an oil and gas company, and even the owner, my boss, does not like the conservatives to get in, even though his business might be affected. He believes Carney is going to be better. However, a lot of people that I know are believing in PP.
Mm-hmm.
They're not reading the fine print about affordable housing, where he says he's going to cut the GST on brand new homes under,
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's 350,000, but they're not reading that you have to put a rental property in there. You have to put a rental suite. They're not reading this. People that I know that are even in the
Well,
building sector
and PP
are
is being
saying they're,
deceptive. He's not saying these things. He's
no,
putting the,
he is
he, he,
yeah,
you
I
have to
had
read the
to
fine
point
print.
out
Yep.
exactly, and I had to point out to someone very recently, oh, I'm going to vote conservative because my job depends on it. And I said, if you want to keep your job, Carney would be the best bet right now because PP is going to going to give us away to the US, and your job won't mean a darn thing.
Yep.
And I said, and now you have to read the fine print. How many people do you know are willing to build a home to rent it out instead of moving into it, or to put a rental
Exactly.
property in the basement? And people are not reading the fine print. I cannot believe I even made one of my Facebook friends put a post about conservatives, and I said, right now, it's not about the party, it's about the person. Carney is the guy. Unfortunately, her response, and she is a welder, so she relies on the oil and gas as well. And her response to me was, sorry, but we're going to have to agree to disagree. I have
It's
not yet
sad.
responded to that. It is very sad because I'm thinking these people that I know have this kind of values. They're one issue voters, and they really don't care about their rights or indigenous rights or LGBTQ rights or anything. And that shocks me about the people that I know personally.
Yeah.
They're not
They're not
voting
voting.
smart.
I know. I just want to address something
And
in the comments that keeps coming up quickly.
okay,
About the Chinese interference. Did you listen to the whole clip about that? Did you listen to the whole news story? Because the
no,
interference was both positive and negative against Carney. It was equal.
exactly.
They're just trying to create a problems. They were giving just as much positive information about Carney as they were giving negative information
Yeah,
and
and
lies. They're
one,
the ones that created the whole he faked his doctoral paper. That's bullshit. You don't fake a thesis at that level.
ex
It doesn't
exactly.
plagiarize. It doesn't happen. Trust me. I would know. I was in a master's program for a little bit. They run it through computer generators and even back in the day they know what they're doing.
Exactly. And I just don't get it, why, like, I understand Alberta is very conservative. The other day, P.S., I just want to let everybody know what's going on the other side of the world. I have relatives that live in Ontario.
Hmm.
The other day, my cousin called me very, very concerned and said, what the heck is happening in Alberta? I said,
Hmm.
what do you mean? Well, I hear you guys are wanting to separate. I'm like, what? I
Yeah.
said, there's no way we want to separate. And then I said, listen, it's never going to happen. We're a part of the monarchy. They're not going to let us go. It's not as easy as Danielle Smith saying, we're going to go. She can go, but it's not
Oh,
that easy.
really?
Look when Quebec wanted to separate. Did they? No, right?
Really? On the separation part, they can't because all of Alberta is treaty land. They can't separate.
Right?
And
Exactly. And you know what? When I
Russia and
read that,
Gandhi, stop with the misinformation. I'm
I
sorry, I'm
have
getting
to
really annoyed.
say,
Hmm.
no, sorry. One thing I have to say, when I heard that they cannot get rid of Alberta because it's treaty land, I jumped for joy because you know what? It doesn't belong to anybody but the Indigenous people. If people knew the history,
Hmm.
they would know this. So I'm feeling really happy. Thank you for, again, for mentioning that it's treaty land because
Right. Okay.
it's just, wow.
And here's another thing I'm going to tell you. When the settlers came over here, we never gave up our land.
Mm-hmm.
We wrote treaties to share the land, and they were only supposed to dig far enough, the depth of a plow, so 6 inches. That's all they were supposed to dig was 6 inches. And this is what I heard from an indigenous relative of mine on TikTok. So I believe that if Danielle Smith wants to separate and make us the 51st state of America, she would have a fucking fight on her hand, pardon my language, because again, we did not give our land up. We made treaties to share the land. That's all that happened. There's no. We're on treaty land. I'm on Treaty 6 and Treaty 7 and Treaty 4 of the Indigenous of Canada. I'm in Alberta as well. It is trash Berta until that bitch gets out because I cannot wait. Because under NDP we had one fire and guess what? We rebuilt Fort Mac. And here's another thing. Danielle Smith took funding away from rebuilding Jasper National Park because she threatened them. She's like, well, if you don't do this, I'm withholding funding. That is
Right.
not something that should be ever a thing. If one of your national parks burn, like, I mean, I can't even begin to say the UCP party in Alberta. We have had so many fires in Alberta with her in power. That
Mm-hmm.
makes me a little suspicious. It was a fucking plan from the UCP to get the national to get those resources out of the ground so they could sell them to make a profit. That's what it was. It was a profit. That's all we are is a fucking profit. I will never vote conservative because they do not have the indigenous people's
Well,
rights
that I
at
agree
their
with.
at the heart.
They don't. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, I've got to run. You guys stay strong. You've got my backing 100%. And I'm going to keep fighting just like you guys are. And I cannot see them winning. In my thoughts, it's going to be the Liberals who are going to win because if it's not, we're in trouble.
Bye-bye country,
Anyways,
because PP will sell us out. I believe that
uh,
strongly.
Oh yeah, you will.
100%. 100%. Like, look
He's
at what Trump is doing to America.
him and
People are
Smith are
saying,
just dying to have their opportunity to become America's 51st state.
right. But I mean, look at what Trump is doing to America. People are saying he sold us. And I said, no, he didn't sell you guys. He gave you guys away. And
Yep.
that's what PP would do. We got
Yep.
to keep them out. And unfortunately, there's people that you can't get through. But we liberals, we're going to be quiet. We're not fighting. We're not burning down signs. We're not doing anything. We're keeping quiet. But when voting day comes, that's when we're going to pull out our weapons, I guess you can say, and go and vote.
Our
Here's the
pencils.
thing.
Our
Can
pencils, and go
I
mark the right
can
square.
I can I address a comment to Don?
Sure, go
Don,
ahead.
Alberta is
And
100%
thanks,
treaty land.
thanks,
It
meditation,
is a
if you
hundred
want to
percent
receive.
treaty land.
Yep.
Absolutely, it is 100% treaty land. Do not tell me something you do not know.
If you don't, if nobody minds, in regards to the Western separation movement, I will never understand that
Me
because,
neither. I'm
you
a
know,
Canadian first.
well, exactly. But the thing is, for me, I grew up in Ontario and Quebec, but I was
Hmm.
in Quebec at the last referendum in '95. So I had just turned 18, and I still remember having to vote in that referendum was the scariest thing that I had ever
I
gone
remember
through.
that. I was alive for
And
that referendum. Yep.
it was just such a close call that
Hmm.
but the other problem was is that I was still a teenager, but I didn't understand what was behind the separation.
Right.
You know, not understanding the angst that at the time that the francophones had towards the anglophones.
Hmm.
And it was just, you know, now that I'm a lot older, I understand it a lot more. But when you go to a province like, say, New Brunswick, it's a totally different scenario.
Yep. Yep. And I grew up in Ontario as well. But I've spent just as much of my life in Alberta as I have in Ontario now. So I do consider myself an Albertan, and I am not at all for separating. I'm a Canadian first. And I don't
Exactly.
understand this. Just it, there's no way we can Alberta can separate and be its own country. It's not possible. So it means they're just going to get annexed by the states if they want to do
Exactly.
that. And that I don't see how that's going to help anything. I don't want to lose my health care. I don't want to lose my Canada pension plan. I don't want to lose my Canadianness and my identity. Like if Alberta actually separated, I would sell my house and move.
Well, and see, unfortunately, I wish I could, but I don't have that option with
Hmm.
my job.
No, neither
Um,
do I. I don't like. I don't know. Like I said, I would want to do it, but it would be bad for me. You know.
but honestly, in my time, in my short active time in the union movement, at least in Alberta, going to, being a part of the Parkland Institute and going to one of the conventions there, and then just experiencing the stuff that the Alberta Federation of Labor puts on,
Hmm.
and just listening to political scientists like Dr. Jared Wesley
Yep.
out of the U of A. It's just your mind just gets so open to what's out there and how the political landscape in Alberta really shapes up. Because I remember the first thing that Dr. Wesley was talking about was that when it comes to Alberta politics, we're not as far right and as far less left as
Hmm.
we think we are. We're more central.
We are, and Carney is more central, but and a lot of people, like a lot of the old school of conservatives, are seeing it. It's the younger ones. Like my dad has a friend who's always been conservative, and he's voting liberal this time, and he's in his 80s. Like the
Yeah.
older generation are seeing this for what it is. My dad is very much against PP. He's 83 and he's Carney all the way.
Mm.
Mind you, to be fair, he's always been either liberal or NDP, just like me. So, but my dad's best friend has always been a conservative. This is the first time he's voting outside of conservative, and he's voting for Carney.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was the tough part for me because I mean, being part of a union,
Yep.
because the NDP came from that sector, and Tommy Douglas and Jack Layton, but nowadays with the way the NDP are run federally, I'm so disappointed,
Yeah.
so disappointed.
Me. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm just gonna again, we've got more WEF comments. Go read the IDU, or it'll take you 5 minutes because they barely put up any information about themselves there. They're a huge fascio Christian political lobbying organization for the right, for right wing Christo fascist values. The WEF is a non-profit worldwide organization. It's not even an organization, it's a non-profit. So go read. IDU is WF. No, well, not exactly. The IDU is very different from the WEF, that's for sure. But why don't you go look at the WEF and see if you can find the stuff that PP's telling you you're going to find there, because you're not. Nowhere do they say they're going to take over the world and take away all of your assets. That's just lies that they're telling you to scare you. And it's working. I guess it's working. But maybe do your footwork and actually go look at the two websites for real, is my suggestion.
Yeah, IDU, International Democratic Union.
Yeah, you're going to find barely anything. And guess who runs it? Stephen Harper.
Exactly. And the fact that they're using union, that's even a bigger oxymoron.
Oh, well, and here's Roxer saying climate scam. Again, you're buying bullshit. There is a lot of science that proves that climate change is very real. But I guess you don't believe in science. Although science is what helps you learn how to dig and mine, so maybe you should, since you're so big on getting to the minerals. So you're kind of contradicting yourself. Either you believe in science or you don't. Uh, Sorry, just addressing someone in the comments. But yeah, the WEF is a cool organization that has a lot of interesting stuff out on the go. But the IDU scares me.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I've always understood that the World Economic Forum is basically a giant think tank amongst
Exactly.
political leaders.
Exactly.
You
And
know,
not even just political, but leaders in certain areas.
Yeah,
the,
you know,
and the
especially for
environment. Yeah.
economics and environment and science and you
Hmm.
know stuff like that that comes into play. But I mean, the IDU, no.
Yep, exactly. So we're at 1 o'clock. I'm going to be on for another hour. Just want to do the shameless plug. Tapping is clapping, guys. If you can, please tap the screen. It helps get this live out to more people. And the more you tap, the more it gets out to people. So really appreciate it if you can tap the screen, like, follow, and share. Subscriptions are under $5 a month, and they help us keep this channel going with all of our different programming. So we always appreciate more subscribers. Uh, so let's see what else we can talk about today. I was thinking about, uh, I'm very worried about PP's little talk about women's rights yesterday, and I want to hear his exact words, and I haven't yet. So I'm going to see PP, women's abortion, PP abortion, see what he said yesterday to be exact. Because my feeling on this is that he is being extremely careful in how he words things. And he's being extremely careful because, again, he's being deceptive, which is what he does. As far as I know, he says that he will not personally do anything, but that doesn't mean one of his ministers can't, right? And that's how they've slipped it through before. Is he doesn't do it, his ministers do it, so it's the same thing. And he tried to give fetuses rights very recently. One of his ministers recently tried to pass a bill that had was all about fetal rights. And if you give a fetus rights, that's the same as giving them lifehood. And that is where we're going to be running into trouble, because that's where they can catch us. And basically, and also they're not going to do anything to help women. So they're not going to improve women's health. There's nothing in their policy to add funding to or in any way improve our access to safe abortions in Alberta, or in Alberta or Canada. And we've got Danielle Smith in Alberta, who is selling out our hospitals to Covenant Health, who is a Catholic organization that will not provide that kind of care. So boom, we don't have it here when that happens. And that's terrible. We need laws that are going to keep it accessible for everybody in Canada. What are you screaming about in the comments, Rockstar? Epstein Island, everybody knows those photos were doctored. If you're buying those photos, there's one legit photo of Carney with Epstein, and it was at a big gala event where many people crossed paths. So that means nothing. All of the ones on his island and all of that and being on lists, that's all bullshit, BS. And none of it has been proven true. And the pictures are been looked at by AI experts, and they are very obviously doctored. The arms are all twisted in some of them. I mean, you can see it yourself. So enough with that. Do I know anything about that, Rockstar? Yeah, I do. I know it's a big fake right-wing lies. So was Sophie, it will surface. I don't even know who Sophie is, so I don't care. Anyway, and oh, well, I'm on my own now. So if anybody wants to come up and chat, you can do that. Meanwhile, I'm going to look at, let's see here, Pierre Poliev. If you want to come up, just request up in the box. We have abortion. Mysterious. Okay, I'll bring you up for a bit. Hi, Mysterious.
Hi, Jana.
Mysterious.
How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing today?
Oh, not too bad. Tried to vote yesterday, and I was a week early for the early voting poll.
Oh my goodness. Good for you, though. Are you voting right or left this time?
I don't even know what's right or left. Conservative is right, liberal is
Conservatives
left.
right, liberal or NDP is left. Yeah.
Oh, we got two lefts. Oh, I'm voting left.
You
I
could
got
call the
more
Green Party
choices.
left as well, I guess. So 3 lefts,
I
if you want
got,
to look at it that way.
yes, the more choices left, I'll vote left.
And are you voting for Liberal this time around, for Carney?
No, I voted for Joe last time by mistake. I'm not voting for Carney.
No? So who are you voting for?
Jagmeet.
Jagmeet, okay. fair enough.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I would encourage you, if you are concerned about the Conservatives, to look at smartvoting.ca. Have you heard of smart voting?
Smart voting would have me voting for Carney. I wouldn't do that.
No, and you know what? That's your choice. It's fair. I would encourage you to think about it because we the fact is we need to unite the left, and Carney is the right person at the right time, in my opinion. With his
Jack Mead has already united the left in the last election.
he already what? He
United the left in the last
united the left.
election.
Somewhat, yeah. But right now we need to be very united so that because vote splitting is a thing, and it's one of the things that we worry about a lot. Because if people vote for the NDP in ridings where the NDP have zero chance of winning, you're kind of wasting your vote. Whereas it might help the Liberal candidate. Is the Liberal candidate ahead in your riding at least, or not sure?
I have no idea who the Liberal candidate is.
Okay. Well, that you'd have to look into that, and if you looked at smart voting, it would tell you what they're at. Because if the Liberal and the NDP are like this, and the Liberals are just a little bit ahead, you want to vote for the Liberals. If the NDP are just a little ahead, you want to vote for the NDP, and it's to not split that vote. That's the whole idea.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Is
So
that what's
that
called smart voting?
yeah, it's called smartvoting.ca.
But
I'd
smart
look up
voting,
your riding, but I don't want to dox you by finding out your postal
all
code.
this smart voting does is just gang up on the opposition.
Well, we're balancing. The opposition doesn't have anybody else on the right. You see, they're the right. There is the CPC or the People's Party or something like that, but they have they've got very tiny numbers. They're not really they're smaller than the Green Party. They're not really making a ding in anything.
I was voting for the NDP because we can't really do without the NDP.
I agree that they're valuable. I don't get me wrong, and I intend to be NDP provincially, whereas I'm more liberal federally. But I just think in this election, and again, this is just my personal opinion. In this election, we can't afford to split the vote. So I'm going to vote whatever. If the NDP were winning in my riding, if they were ahead, I would vote NDP. But they're not. It's basically the Liberal against the
What do I
Conservative,
do
and
if
there's a small margin there.
What do I do if the Conservatives are ahead of my riding?
Vote for the candidate that is the next highest, whether it be Liberal or NDP.
Oh, I see. Okay,
Does that
okay.
make sense? And it's just so that we can unite. So it's not about necessarily, in many cases, it will be voting Liberal because the Liberals are ahead. But your riding might be one where the NDP do have a heads up, and then the Conservatives are just a little higher. Then you'd want to vote for the NDP. You see what I mean?
There's a
So
lot of
whatever party,
NDP in Toronto. That's why I want to vote NDP.
yeah. So your riding might be NDP heavy. I don't know, but I would really encourage you to look at smartvoting.ca, see who is best suited to beat the Conservative candidate, and vote for them.
Where do you go to find out who's in the lead of the voting?
Who's where?
Who's in the lead, the Liberal or the NDP? Where do you go to find out who's in the
Smart
lead?
voting. Somebody, his name is JB. He has his own show, JB Politics, and he put the site together. He's got a background in these kinds of things. In what am I looking for? Not statistics specifically, but federal election projections and election projections. He did really good at guessing, or not guessing, but forecasting what was going to happen on Ontario. And unfortunately, he was very right with them losing, the Liberals losing. So you just go to there and it tells you, like, according to he takes all of the polls and amalgamates them and puts together one rate. Right now, without strategic voting, it's looking like the Liberals would get 203 seats and Conservatives would get 113. Bloc would get 16, NDP would get 9. So you might be in one of those 9 seats. I don't know. And the Green Party
The
is
NDP
2.
only get 9 seats?
Yeah, that's how it's projected right now. They're not doing well. Jake Mead's made some mistakes.
God, that is a catastrophe.
It is bad. It is bad for them. Yes,
That's a catastrophe.
I agree. I'm very sad for them, but they've made some
I
strategical errors.
can't drop my support. Not this time. It's too much.
Yeah, no, there's nothing that's going to save them here. They're going to have to regroup after this election.
I'm going down with the ship.
Yeah, hey, that is your choice. You do you. But I would encourage you to look at smartvoting.ca. Just www.smartvoting.ca. It has a place where you can plug in your riding, and it'll tell you where you're at. Like, I'll tell you mine right now. I'm not going to say the name of the riding, but just to give you an idea. My riding right now is projected 45% conservative, 41% LP liberal. That is really good. This is Alberta.
Yeah,
We're
that
only
is good.
4 points. We're only 4 points behind them now. And 12% NDP. So you can see
And
the NDP haven't
it's
got a snowball's chance. So if people that are smart
www.smartvote.ca.
voting, yeah, voting,
Smart
VOTING, .ca.
voting.ca.
People on the right will tell you that those are fake polls. They're not. He predicted the Ontario election very closely. He did a great job. So, but Jagmeet, like they're only at 12% in my riding, whereas in the Liberals are at 41. So if people, if even just 4% of the or 5% of the people that are voting NDP voted Liberal, the Liberal candidate would win
But
in that riding.
The NDP have a strong root in Ontario.
How is that a corrupt right website, Rockstar? It's just gathering data. There's nothing wrong with it. You may not like it, but it's a great website. Go on, sir.
But the NDP are strong in Ontario.
They are, but they're more strong provincial elections. Um, I don't know.
Oh
Let's
yeah,
let's look
well
at
yeah,
a
of
let's
course,
let's
yeah, a
look at
lot,
an
yeah.
Ontario riding. So what would I look at? I'll look at Sudbury. Uh, I don't want to look at the big city. PQR PQRS Surrey Sudbury. Yeah, they have the Liberals ahead at 53% in Sudbury, Ontario riding, 33% for the CPC. So they are way low, and NDP at 12%. So they've really lost a lot of their voter base.
So NDP in Sudbury has the same as the national standard, just
Yeah,
12%.
yeah, yeah.
Can you look up mine?
If you want me to, what is your riding?
What's it called? Toronto Danforth.
Toronto Danforth. Got it. I used to live there. My
Oh,
first apartment outside of my house was in Toronto on the Danforth. Loved it.
I'm in Leslieville.
It is primarily liberal. 58% for the Liberals, 24 for the Conservatives, and 13 for the NDP right now.
Oh, better than the national average.
It is better than the national average, just a little bit, but they went down 5%, and their votes went to the LPC, up 9%. So a lot of people that would normally vote the NDP are going with Carney, and what you do is totally your choice. This isn't a riding that's in. Um, they're doing well. The Liberals are doing real well in this riding, so
There's
I
not
don't
much of a
think.
competition, and there's so much
Yeah,
point in changing my vote.
yeah, you can change your vote if you want to, but it looks like they're quite ahead just by the polls.
Yeah.
But
I'd be satisfied if they win without my vote.
and hopefully they do. We'll see. The margin of error is 3.5%, so they're way above the margin of error right here. So something drastic would have to change in the next couple of weeks. But it can happen. It can happen. So we just got to keep
Not
watching
with
the polls. So,
not with Mark Carney around. Things don't change that drastically that fast.
well, he's pretty stable, and he's got a very
That's
long
what I meant.
career.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, he seems everything I see about him, he seems like a really genuinely awesome person. I don't like they're trying to find scandals on him, but they're trying so hard that what they're coming up with is kind of sad, and they have to fake it. Like the fake, there's a lot of Carney pictures with him with Epstein that are all fake. Um, they're
I
just
don't even
AI
know what.
generated. Epstein is the one that is in that the United States Hollywood kind of thing, and he apparently had an island where a lot of children were abused, a lot of sex trafficking, things like that.
Oh, and
So
so
a
they're trying
very
to scandal them two together.
Yeah, exactly. They're trying to
Oh,
make it
that's
look like Carney
insane.
has a thing with him, and he
That's
doesn't.
ins-
There's one legit picture with him, and it's at a big gala event where everybody takes pictures with everybody. There's
that's just
nothing else.
hypocrisy. That's just hypocrisy.
It is. It is hypocrisy. They're trying very hard to get. And same thing with people saying that he faked his doctoral paper, his thesis, which is just I've been through that kind of thing. No, you don't fake that kind of thing. You don't plagiarize that. You get caught, and you lose your career. So no, he did not
So
plagiarize anything. But these are the lies that are coming out of the right side, and China is spreading some of them as well.
So then what's the best way to discourage the conservative vote?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to get through to the conservatives. A lot of them are kind of a lot like the Trumpers.
Oh
They
no.
buy into it. They buy
Oh
into
no.
PP is doing a lot of things that sound a lot like Trump, talking about his crowd sizes. He's got an obsession with crowd sizes. And I
Yeah.
very much worry that is something that he's putting out there a lot so that he can deny the election when he loses and say that it was fake, that it was stolen, like Trump did back in the day. And I'm scared we're going to have our own January 6th. Are you
You
familiar
think
with the riots in the States?
Pierre's up to making it a false vote? They have a false election?
I think so. We'll see. Either he'll do
Oh
it or he
my
won't. But I feel like he's
God.
setting it up just like Trump did to say that
You're
that
putting that
if the
Pierre on a
liberals win,
limb.
that it can't be real because his crowd sizes were so big, right? That's what he's going
Yeah.
on. That he's telling people that the polls are wrong. He's telling his followers that the polls are all wrong, and look at my crowd sizes. So what is the like? You got to think about what his motive is for saying those kinds of things.
He's too much of a Trump for my liking.
He is. His campaign manager is a Trumper. There are pictures of her with a Trump hat, a MAGA hat. Same with some of his
Oh.
other people. They are huge Trumpers.
Now in America I did vote for Trump.
Yeah, the first time or the second?
Both.
Oh dear. And can you tell me how you feel about that now?
Well, I'm glad he won, but I'm not sure I like what he's doing.
I definitely don't like what he's doing. I'm very worried. He's threatening our sovereignty right
But
now.
I understand where he's coming from because his own country wanted to lock him away,
No, they
and now
didn't. They never
they
wanted
want.
to lock. That's bull. They never wanted to lock him away. But go on.
Oh, I thought
He
for
was he
sure
was
they.
charged he was charged with 53 felonies, and the judge could have tried to impose a prison sentence, and they did not.
That's just it. They put him through all that stuff, and
They
now
didn't
he's
think it
got a
was worth it.
vengeance.
They didn't
He's
think it
got a
was worth it.
vengeance. He's
Yeah.
got a vengeance.
Oh no, he's mad because he got caught, and he's angry. I agree with that. He got caught doing illegal things, and he's angry, and he feels he's being vilified. But he was just held accountable for illegal actions. He was involved with Stormy Daniels, and that happened.
Yeah.
So I find it Trump is not the smart person that the megas make him out to be. He's first of all, they were all on Biden about having Alzheimer's or dementia. Trump is showing clear signs of dementia right now. He has been for a while now. He gets confused very easily. He forgets things. He goes on rants that don't even make sense. And he leans forward. If you ever notice, he's always leaning forward. That's a sign of frontal lobe dementia.
Is this going to be a thing now? U.S. presidents with dementia?
I don't believe Biden actually did. Biden was slowing down a little bit, but I don't believe he had dementia. But
Oh,
I do believe that Trump does. Like we'll see. Nobody can diagnose him, and he's not willing to get tested.
I
So
met I met Donald Trump in Toronto when I was working in construction, and it
mhm,
was one of his real estate sites.
mhm.
He's not a good boss.
I imagine he's not. I don't think he's someone I would want as my boss. He's very quick at throwing people under the bus when things fail.
Yeah,
Um,
he threw me
he's
under the
not.
bus. That's what I know.
Yeah, and that's what he does. And
I left the
it's
construction site with just the clothes on my back.
yeah.
I was lucky to get out alive.
Would you vote for him again?
Certainly.
You would. Why?
Well, just because he deserves it.
He deserves it. How? Why does he deserve it? Nobody
Well, they
deserves
took
to be
it from him.
president.
They took
It's
it from him in such a vicious way the first time.
how so?
Well, just with they wanted to make him illegal and tear down his name and make him less than what he is, and I didn't like that at all.
I didn't find that at all. I found they were just being honest about who he was. But like he's what did he accomplish, or what is he doing right now that you're happy with that you'd vote for him again? There's a good question. Because you just mentioned you don't like what
Well,
he's doing, but you'd
no, I'd
vote
have
for
to
him again.
follow.
So what
I'd have
what
to
would
start
make you?
following. I'd have to start following U.S. politics again before I vote again.
So are you American or Canadian?
Canadian.
But you vote in the U.S. election. You have a dual
No, I
citizenship?
just told my opinion of the election, and I wanted
Oh,
something
okay. You
else.
didn't actually vote. You just would have. Okay,
Yeah.
fair. Um, again, can you be specific as to anything that he's done that would give you confidence to vote for him another time if you had that option?
Well, no, I can't say at this moment. No.
Then I would suggest you really think about it because he's done a lot of harm to women's rights, to reproductive rights. He's just so much harm to women and to the LGBTQ community.
I
Um,
didn't know that.
well, do you believe in that people who are trans deserve rights?
I just thought that he was a businessman that wanted to help his country. That's all I thought.
That is not who he is. I think you really need to do some research. Like, I don't want to spend a whole bunch of time telling you, but do your research. Look into what Trump is doing right now and the policies he's passed. He's talking about annexing our country. That is
Yeah,
with
I know the
economic warfare. He's using economic warfare to try to annex our country. Do you understand that
Yeah.
annexing means taking over, that we're Americans?
I know he's trying to annex the country, and I know it's not going to happen. It's an impossibility. That's his
Nothing is
personal failure.
impossible.
That's his
That,
personal failure.
Can I
anyway,
ask him a
I'm going to give
question?
Pierre Polyev a chance to talk. Go ahead.
He's empowered. It's Smarty. I just changed my picture.
Ah, hi, Smarshy.
Hi.
It shouldn't
It
say
says
little.
Pierre.
It's too little. It looks like you're a pro Pierre person.
Okay. No, it says Pierre Polyev, 20 years of nothing.
Okay, go ahead, Smarshy.
Yeah, so Pierre, again, like my picture is absolutely true because he has been in office for 20 some years and nothing has been passed because the last two bills he tried to get passed were unconstitutional and the Supreme Court shut them down. So 20 years in office, he had a job as a paper boy as a kid. His real name is Jeff. He doesn't go by Jeff anymore. He voted against same-sex marriage for when his stepfather, was in the Parliament building. He has
Yep.
attacked Trudeau's children. He's attacked
Yes.
Carney's children. Do
Yep.
you really think a man like that would give respect to the 2S LGBTQI plus? Women's rights are up for debate with him. He flip flops so many times, I can't trust him. And indigenous people to him, he told indigenous people that they should be so glad that they're going to be able to buy water.
Buy
Water
their
is
own
not
clean
something we
water.
own. Water is something we don't own. We can never own water. We never own land because the land is owned by the earth. The indigenous people of the Canada are the land keepers. So what that means is we take care of the land so the whole country can flourish. That's what we want to do. That's why the land back movement is so strong in Canada. As an Indigenous person on Treaty 7 and Treaty 4, I believe land back is a thing that we need to do because we want to make this country flourish. We don't want your houses or
Here,
anything
here.
like that. We just want the land to flourish and the country to do better. That's all we want. But it's not going to happen under Pierre because he's voted down UNDRIP, which is the United Nations Declaration Rights of Indigenous People. That's what he's wanting to get rid of. That protects Indigenous people all over the world. He voted against that. He
Mm-hmm.
also voted against clean drinking water because in 20 years, Harper did nothing for clean drinking water. Justin Trudeau got over 91% of all drinking water advisories in about 140 to 150 reserves drinking water. We only have 34 to 35 left to finish. And they're
Yep.
working on that right now. So that being said, I don't trust him as far as I can throw him, and that's not very far. Also, if you have a child that's disabled, he's going to vote against that. Or if you're disabled yourself, he's going to vote against you. His mindset is for corporations, not the little people. And the Housing Act that he wants to put on there is he wants to make it so you have to have a rental suite. So he's not really giving housing to the to the Canadians, to Canadians in this country. What he's doing is making it easier for corrupt corporate landlords to make more money off of us. That's not something that should be a thing. You should be thinking about your constituents or the people in the country that you want to run. And the fact that he doesn't have security clearance is wild. He attacks
Absolutely
everybody else,
ridiculous.
but without look. Yeah, he refuses. And there's a saying that my cookum always tells me: those in glass houses should not throw stones. And I think that's what he needs to learn. He needs to learn and sit with an Indigenous person and listen to what they're saying because he is not the right candidate for our country.
That's brilliant. Get him to sit down with somebody that knows.
But will he actually listen is the question. Will he actually
Oh,
take
God.
that in instead of just be like, yeah, no, I know what's best for
That's
our
where you go
country?
back to the old custom routine and stuff is ears with corn.
And I just want to give Strong Women for Canada a chance to talk. Did you want to add anything to this?
Oh, I've just been listening. I can wait a bit more. I just
Okay,
kind of
no
joined and
problem.
then joined, but I
Yeah.
just want to say that my main thing with Pierre is he had a lot of time to over 20 years to really champion a lot of these things that he's now
Mm-hmm.
touting and that
Yeah.
he's pressing. I find the affordable homes is sort of a joke. Like
Mm-hmm.
you're a little bit too late to the party, right? Like you had a
Absolutely.
chance.
He
Some of
told
the
the MPs
things,
not to use programs that were out there that the Liberals and NDP put through, just
yeah,
because
and
it was the Liberals
a
that
lot
put
of
it through.
yeah, and a lot of things he voted against when it was just in there. It was against, and now he's trying to look like the great guy of Canada, a,
Yeah,
a guy of the people. So I
and
just
he's done
find
that.
overall, ooh, he's just not trustworthy. Like he's just not his word. And I really, the whole security clearance thing, besides the fact that he won't get it. It's like the bigger question is why? Are you trying to purposely keep that conversation alive and then just be like, see, I told you guys I could always get it? Like keep a mystery around it?
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. I don't know what
It's
his.
not to.
I
Is
feel
that
like
the
it. I
intention?
feel like he just can't pass it. It might be because of his father-in-law. I don't know, but there's something there, and he just doesn't
I
want to
know,
risk
but
it.
then I'm always worried. But then I'm like, what kind of person does that? Like that's what I'm saying. He's so untrustworthy that I'm worried at some point when he gets it, he'll be like all those people who said that I couldn't get it and I could get it, but you
Maybe.
didn't.
Yeah.
I don't
Maybe.
No, but
know.
here's the. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay, because the thing is, he was also the housing minister under Harper. That scares me.
absolutely.
Because he accomplished what? 6 houses did he build? Oh, six
No,
higher-income houses.
Grant says he sold 800 PP sold 800,000 housing units to developers when he was Harper's housing minister. That
Mm-hmm.
alarming. That should be alarming itself. Not to mention, Laura Schumer, a congresswoman in the United States, wants to know how they can help Poilievre win the election. That's election interference. And he also has a lifelong sanction with Elections Canada for election interference. He wouldn't have that if it wasn't true. It's you can look it up. It's not hard.
Yeah, I've
My
heard
the
that
other
too.
my other thing is whoever like obviously things are laying low right now as far
Mm-hmm.
as communication between Trump and Canada because
Yeah.
Carney told him, oh, there's an election and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But my big question to really pro-conservative voters is if this guy can't take questions from people on a campaign trail and
Mm-hmm.
he has to have them pre-screened.
Yeah.
He's not good off the cuff.
Nope.
Uh,
Mm-mm.
being lies. How are we to go into a battle of wits with Trump or we're to stand up to him if you can't win a verbal war with him? Like if you can't, because Trump is very all over the place, so you're not going to be able to have a complete lay down script of what these two people are doing. I mean, he could
Exactly. You never know
literally
what Trump's going to do. Trump is very
right.
unpredictable.
Like he could, I mean, Zelensky is a strong guy, and look what they did to him, right? So
Exactly.
imagine Pierre sitting there unscripted from people in, the White House facing questions. Now think about that actually literally. Like think about
Mm-hmm.
that pro-conservative voters, how he's going to put Canada first.
I
And
That
agree 100.
and answer those questions if he won't even take questions from people where the questions aren't scripted on something that he should know about on the campaign trail, issues that face Canada. He should be able to stand at that podium and have anybody ask him. But what's happening is reporters are having to be so aggressive and they're so mad because they can't ask him any questions.
4
And it's
questions
just
is all he'll
ridiculous.
answer.
yeah,
Carney's answered twice as many questions as him and
Of
takes
course.
yeah,
questions from all of the reporters. We've heard Carney take questions from
I
very
actually,
right-wing reporters.
I want to
Yeah, go ahead.
finish your thought. I'll give you a real life
Okay.
example of
I was
how
just saying
fear is.
4 questions, and he chooses the reporters that can ask those 4 questions. Handpicks them. So are the questions that we want answered actually getting answered? No, he's refusing to answer our questions. He's only answering the questions he wants to answer, and that's very concerning.
Well, the
So
bigger
go.
concern is why are you not able to answer questions about pressing issues in Canada? Why do they
Mhm.
need to be screened? This is your wheelhouse. You've spent 20 years preparing for this role, and you
Yep.
need to have your questions scripted because off the cuff, the only thing that you can continually do is if you're faced with a question that you weren't prepared for or don't know about, is somehow tie it to the Liberals and slamming people. You know,
Yep.
if I approached in my workplace, I was the subject matter expert of my department or where I'm working. And then every time someone came to ask me from another department, I just started bullying people or started giving an answer like he does about the Liberals. Like I'd be fired. Like it's so silly that
Mhm.
the biggest job in Canada, this guy can't answer questions. You should be able, if you're so good at being the leader of the opposition, any question that should come to you, you should be able to tell people, this is how I'm going to solve it. But right away, we leap into name
Well,
calling.
yep.
We turn it to the Liberals.
To the
We don't
slogans.
have, yeah, we go to slogans. We have to refer back to Justin. I mean, that ship has sailed. Justin's gone. Like you're here because Justin's gone. We're having this whole election and everything else because you just,
Yep.
that's it.
You
So
wanted
I
Justin
don't know.
gone. He's gone. Yep.
Yeah, and I
That,
don't know why you can't answer questions about Canada. I think I can answer off the cuff questions about some of these issues. I don't know
Well, we
why
here's
know
the
you
how to
thing.
do this. Yeah. And if
Here's
you
the
don't
thing.
know, go ahead, Smarty.
A friend of mine on here is a mutual. They are an amazing Indigenous creator. They go by Star. They're an amazing person. They went to the rally of
Yep.
Pierre Polyev, and he's all about freedom of expression and saying what you want. As soon as she said, the United Nations of UNDRIP is the United Nations of the United Declaration rights of Indigenous people. As soon as she started saying there's more than 2 genders, you know what happened to my mutual? She was kicked out of the rally because she couldn't handle it. That's
Mhm.
what happened. If
oh
you
my
cannot seriously take what that means at heart, yeah, they booted her out because she was challenging. Do you know what he said after that? After she stopped, after she was removed from the protest,
What?
the fact of the matter was, all he could say was, I guess she wants to axe the tax, and then started chanting, axe the tax,
Yeah.
axe the tax.
Back to the
And then
slogans.
he took a drink of water. That's all he could do. He could not mention, he only goes on, there's 2 genders, and there's more than 2 genders, and we know that. But
Mhm.
he is anti any other genders.
Yep.
This
And
is a
Indigenous
man
people
that
have had
doesn't.
uh, had people
Oh
of two
yeah,
genders forever. Two spirited.
yeah,
Like.
yeah, 2 spirits. Yeah, I can't speak on what it is because my nation doesn't do that with outsider people, just
Mhm.
for reasons. But it's really scary that this is, going on. Yeah, and
Well,
the one
that's
person.
And I just wanted to say quickly that I'm really impressed with how Carney has handled Trump. I think, have you noticed that Trump has stopped calling us the 51st state and stopped referring to him as governor of Canada? And that's because
Actually, he went
Carney,
back to the 51st state, but he doesn't
did he?
call Carney Lee governor.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, but it's still, like, Carney had him pause. He made him pause and think about it. And because let's face it, Trump is like a toddler. And you have to, but he's like a toddler with Alzheimer's, with dementia. It's fun. You have to be quick on your feet to manage someone like that, and PP just isn't
No,
at
he
all.
isn't. And my thing is I'm not voting against him per se. Like
Hmm.
when I think about how my vote's going, I'm
Yep.
voting literally about how this guy can lead Canada. I'm not, the other people are, the other side. I feel like all the stuff that I see on here are people that hate a
Liberals.
person or
Yep.
hate
It's about
liberals.
hate. Yep.
But I don't, I'm not voting or saying that I hate PP. I'm going on, listen, I am worried about the future. I'm worried
Hmm.
about the United States, and I'm facing the United States. I'm worried about a lot of things. And I don't feel that if he can't answer these questions in a
Agreed.
campaign when you're fighting for your life, sort of thing,
Hmm.
like this is it,
Yep.
then why would I pick you to lead this country? Why would I not? People may question, oh, well, Carney. Carney is thoughtful in his response. He's
Yep.
purposeful. He's intentional
He's
with his
detailed.
words. He's not going to tell you something just to win your vote. He's going to tell you what's actually viable for this country to do. If
Hmm.
economically it's viable or reasonable, he's going to do it. But just to vote for PP because he's not a liberal is
Yep.
not a reason. At this point, we're at a crisis in Canada. I don't think Canada is broken or anything like that, but we're at a world global economic crisis, and we need someone who can
Handle
actually
that.
think on their feet. They may not think in rapid fire, but they will be able to use critical thinking skills in a time and
Yep.
speak with purpose and intention. And let's face it, PP just can't do that. He can't do it. He's going to
No,
be
and I'm genuinely
rushed off.
afraid if PP
Yeah,
were to
me
win.
too. Me
Genuinely
too.
afraid. He is inept. He's not the right
Completely,
person for this job,
completely,
and he shows it over and
completely.
over again. But people want to vote for him just because they hate the liberals because of COVID and all of the, like. Let's face it, they PP's people created a, how do I say this? Justin Trudeau was basically bullied out of office at the end of the
But
day.
but why do people like why can they not get past COVID or blame Justin for COVID? The whole
I
world
don't know.
had COVID, and I
I
don't
don't
see
know.
every country hating on their leader or having this massive hatred for COVID, like this massive, like it didn't happen just to Canada, and our
No.
response was different than any place else. I don't know what to
Well, there are
tell
the
you.
conspiracy theorists who genuinely believe that COVID wasn't real and that it was all made up by the government. I guess the whole world got together and faked a worldwide pandemic. I don't understand that. It's not. It's about as logical as Earth being flat to me. It just isn't so. But there are people that genuinely want to believe that. And then, of course, there's the my freedom over people's health. The fact of the matter is that we did handle COVID differently than the United States, and we lost less than half per capita of the people that the United States lost. Less than half. And that's because of what we did. That's because of the measures we took. That's because of the precautions. That's because of Trudeau. Less than half of the people died. Half of the number of people died than the United States per capita, meaning looking at the Canadian population and comparing it to the United States. So, should we have done different? Should we have let more people die so that people could not wear masks and not follow mandates? Is that, if grandma had passed away because someone didn't follow a mask mandate, that would have been okay? That's how it feels when I look at this. I don't understand how wearing a mask and, you know, either vaccinating or staying away from people if you don't want to, you
And
know?
unfortunately, you're never going to be able to measure that or
No.
really go back, because the thing is we don't know how many people have survived because
We
of
wouldn't
what
have.
we did.
No.
Right? We can't go back in time and say, okay, we're going to change it up, and then you're going to be like, see, I told you, 10 more million people died because
Mm-hmm.
we did the response you wanted. um the other thing is, I don't really, I know that the crowd size is propaganda, but again, anybody listening who may be on the fence or not sure about, they don't want to be liberal, maybe they're proud that they're like, I just hated the liberals or I hated the past, but you're not sure. It's like, if the guy is inflating crowd sizes, what else is he inflating when he's telling you about the things that he could do? Because I watched a CBC. Did you watch that guy tell you about how he actually calculated
Yep.
the amount of people? I mean, I'm not going to say
wasn't it about $10,000? Like PP had estimated 12,000, and it was more like 1,200.
yeah, like it was like I thought it was like something. I'm going to say something similar where he said there was 15,000 in Windsor, and they said they went back, they looked at the floor and everything else, and then they went to the gallery and they even went into the corners, and I think they said approximately 1,700.
Yeah.
Now, if he's inflating that much, and that's what he wants to convey to you, but also what is he going to inflate that in his policy that he can build these homes or he can do these things? Again, can we take him at his word? If he can't estimate the size of a crowd, how can I trust him to tell me the amount of homes that he can get built? Right?
Okay, and this is another thing. World leaders around the world were praising Justin Trudeau for how he handled COVID.
Yep.
He literally got into office, and then 4 years, like a couple of years later, COVID happened. I'm sorry,
Yep.
I can't say anything other than that. But I'm going to leave, Jenna, just because of reasons.
No, that's okay.
I will talk to you later, and you guys have a great night.
Okay, you have a good one. Thanks for joining us, Marshy.
Well,
yeah, I feel like the crowd sizes have a lot to do with wanting to have some, like I really do worry that he's doing the same thing that Trump did in the first time that Trump, like when Trump lost the election, so that he can say that the election was not fair or not fake or was rigged and get everybody all riled up. And cause another January 6th, but just in Canada. That's what I feel like. I hope not, but I feel like that's where it's headed.
well, yeah, and I can understand that point. I like JB said the other night on a live that it's forced perspective. I wish Grip was here, but just I watched that TikTok as well with the actual numbers. And I think it came down to like 1,756 people that were actually there.
It was a fair size, but it wasn't what they were saying it was.
Yeah, but honestly, when it comes down to the way Trudeau handled COVID, I think he did a great job.
So do I. It was tough. It was tough, but he did a good job with what he was given.
I think that Canada was acknowledged as one of the best responses to COVID. When he first started giving those press conferences every day, people thought those were great. We welcomed that. He gave us a sense of comfort. You remember him coming outside of the cottage and the house, and he would have it. He had his goatee, and he was like, people were like, "Oh, we're getting informed, right?" I'm gonna tell you right now, like. My daughter happened to be across the world in the Netherlands when COVID started, and Italy was in terrible shape. She had to leave. She was doing schooling, and she was there for a semester, and she was supposed to be there till June, July of 2020, and in March 23rd, she had to come home, and it was bad all around the world. People were dying in Italy so quickly before we even knew. And I think that how quickly we took this on, and we were so quick to really, really take it seriously and take action. I mean, I think we had one of the best responses, and I don't know. I mean, that ship has sailed as far as I'm concerned, COVID. I mean,
but they won't let it die.
Again, it's an anomaly. You got a guy who's running for prime minister, passing out donuts and coffee during the Freedom Convoy because he supports their rights
and
to not wear a mask
were there.
and taking away their freedom. But yet this is the guy that's voted against women's rights and our freedom to choose every single time. I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. Are you for the freedom, of only your followers for COVID for wearing a mask, but you don't want to give me the right to choose over my body? Again, I'm going to challenge people who support, that theory. Why are you supporting people not the right to get vaccinated to wear a mask? But when I want to do something, if my daughter needs a medical abortion, you may want to challenge that.
Yes. And women deserve the right to have accessible prenatal or abortion care. And
Yes.
they don't everywhere. Like in Canada, like I was saying, all PP has to do is not do anything to help it, and it's still hurting. In Alberta right now, I'm very concerned because Smith is trying to sell our health care out to Covenant Health, which is a Catholic hospital that will not perform that type of a service. So then we're just not going to have it. So that's the same thing. Not supporting it is the same as is just doing nothing.
Can I?
And yeah, go ahead, Mrs.
Hi, thanks for letting me up into the box, and I'm excited to be on the panel with strong women. Is
Absolutely.
that? Yes, I love your content. Um, I grabbed onto the name that word the wording forced perspectives, and I guess BB has brought something out about that. But it makes me think of this week. If you really want somebody to give you some comfort and really clarity on the economic of what's going on, is follow the guide Path to Where. He really knows how to break things down, and he talked about how we're media covered Carney going over and having conversations in the United Kingdom about F-18s and making allies and stuff, but the big conversation there is the amount of bonds, US bonds, that Canada and the United Kingdom and all these other allies own, that if they were to flood the market, and just dump all their bonds as part of, like, say, no tariffs back, but we have a little bit of power here.
Mm-hmm.
And they united on that front as well. And that was comforting to me. And I'm wondering why that's not being screamed a little louder in terms of messaging.
Well, I think that's probably kind of a last resort, because I don't because it's from my understanding, it's the debt that the U.S. holds that other countries have. Like sorry, I think I got that wrong. Basically, the U.S. borrowed money from other countries and they owe us, so we put that money into bonds. So if we cash those bonds in, it lowers the U.S. dollar, as far as, if I'm to understand that correctly.
Yes, it would lower the US dollar, right? So there is some power in uniting together, and I never knew about those pieces. There's just some things, and we're facing this conversations a lot around the existential fear. Well, it helps to alleviate that a little bit, to know there is a little bit of financial power hidden in all this economic conversation that seems so convoluted a lot of the times. But also this week, I'm from back east, and my husband's from a place called Petty Harbor, Newfoundland. And little tiny Trump did a propaganda media stint, and then they had a scuffle on the wharf with the journalist. I don't know if any of you heard about that. No. So he was in Petty Harbor. Petty Harbor and Maddox Cove are special little communities back in Newfoundland. They go back like 500 years into whaling communities and stuff. And anyways, what he did is he brought his conservative candidate, and they had one of them really, the media was held way back, and they bussed in 30 people. They lined them up in front of the fish factory that's right close to the wharf, apparently. So they lined them up there so there'd be a real tight shot, about looking like there was all these locals there ready to shake his hands and everything. They were not locals. They were 30 people brought in on a bus. Journalists were then not allowed within a certain footage of the bus. Yeah. And then when the journalists tried to take, because it's public space, right? Like, he's got no right to, like, they can be wherever they want to be on this wharf. But anyway, one of his staffers pushed, not in a physical scuffle, with one of the journalists, because they were trying to say, you're not allowed any closer. And they weren't close. They were like 50 feet away. And so there was this tension. And then so when I'm watching the news, you know, on CBC as this is being covered, I don't know, maybe it was live or something, because Petty Harbor is a special little community in my life. And they are announcing, he said, he's going to deregulate. So fishermen, small fishermen need to be able to open up the waters. And I'm like, oh my fucking, oh my.
So
Because
overfishing.
yeah,
Yeah.
that little cove, Maddox Cove and Petty Harbor have had this special agreement with the federal government and with once was the Crown, because back in this was created in 1895 to protect those small fishing grounds right around those two coves, right? From big trawlers coming in and big fisher industries. And even in the 1800s, there was this kind of mass fishing going on, and they protected those coves. And they redid this kind of special protection in the 1960s. They revisited it and reworded it. And anyway, for him to stand there, and he had a tight shot. And I looked and I said, none of those fishermen would support that. What fishermen? Who are those fishermen? Who would support that down there to deregulate getting rid of this special privilege that protects their fisherman industry, their small fisherman industry? Oh, I was so mad.
Yeah. Wow. Does anyone want to add to that? And I'm going to wind down soon and just go over our list of shows for the week. Does anyone want to say anything? Strong Woman, did you have anything you wanted to say before I shut down for the day?
No, I thank you for joining. I'm
Thank
sorry,
you for joining.
I'm always at the tail end.
Thank you so much for joining, though. We really appreciate your insights. Love your posts
No,
so much.
I'm just a regular mama. I actually have to tell you honestly, I raised somebody who, well, I had a daughter who this is like natural for her. She since the time she was 15, 16, and she ships me all the stuff right away. Things that I report, like that I share, she's
Yep.
sending them with me. So I have intel
Nice.
because she's very very
Into
aware.
politics.
And you know, one day I'll share, not right now, all of the ways that I get my intel from her, but she's
How old is she?
she's 25. She's in first year law school. She worked 2 years at the Ontario Court of Justice. She lives in Ottawa. She was there during the convoy. So when people refute or debunk that it wasn't that bad, I can tell you ground roots, Sandy Hill, Ottawa. She had people accosting her for wearing a mask. She heard the horn. She smelled the smell. She saw that they were verbally abusive. They were a menace to society. They did not a protest. They scheduled a sit-in at Martin Luther King. When he said, "I have a dream," people did not set up bouncy castles, hot tubs, and live bands. I want to make that clear. This was not a protest. This was a disruption. Young kids who were in university worked at the Rideau Center. It had to be shut down. You cost people their livelihood. People who are already students where they needed to eat Kraft dinner and soup, that they worked at the Nike store. I want people to know that. It was very, very raw and terrible. You went to the liquor store. If you were going to get something, you had to line up and people were accosting you. Get that diaper off your face. I want you to know that anybody who thinks it wasn't real, it was real. It was real bad. It was people who lived downtown. Yeah, people who lived downtown who just had children had to leave and not live in their homes because the horns. And people can say, "Oh no, what's?" Yes, it was.
Teo, awesome. I lived in Edmonton. I just want to quickly address this. I lived in Edmonton.
Yes.
I have downtown. They were honking their horns and driving around at all freaking hours. I have a friend who has PTSD, complex PTSD at that. They almost ended up in the hospital. And they can't be the only one. It was really bad.
It was really bad. And I was about, besides the people who just had babies and newborns, or even if they had a year old, they had to seek shelter somewhere else at a family member or move without that vicinity. Also, people who have mental health issues, complex or non-complex, They had to find somewhere else, and that's not easy. Maybe you are a student and you don't know anybody else where
Yep.
to go. It's not just easy to be like, oh, well, I'm going to my cousin's out in Barhaven, or I'm going to go here out in Nepean, or whatever. You might not know anybody. My daughter doesn't really have family there, but
Hmm.
the thing is that uh,
It
there's
was an
so many.
occupation and a disruption. It was
It
not a
was. It
protest.
was, yes, it was not a protest. It's a full-on sit-in, and it was just not well. And I really am upset that Pierre went down there to pass out donuts, to pass out coffee. This is where the title of my name, and I'll shut it down. I'll leave in a minute. Came from Strong Women from Strong Canada, because there are many examples of him going against women's rights in his
Oh,
20-year history. Many. And the thing is I am not going to allow that party to change women's rights in Canada, or alter them, or challenge them in for any moment. And any man, like even him speaking about the biological clock, shows you the power that he thinks he has over
Mm-hmm.
women's bodies. It's not to be taken lightly. Words have weight, they have
We're
meaning,
we're people, not
and
incubators, and
yeah,
we are not
for
valued by
sure.
how long we can reproduce. Nor should we
Exactly.
be.
And if you think that you should be telling us that to try and tie it into housing, I know what you were trying to do, but again, you've had 20 years to impact housing and you haven't done a damn thing. And now it's whatever, 2 weeks away from an election, and you're going to tell me, listen,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, you can't actually tell me the crowd size, so I don't believe of the amount of houses that you can build.
Nope.
Anyways, thank you
Thank you for
everyone.
coming.
Have a great day. Thank you for inviting me. I will see you again. I'll
Awesome.
stay until the end.
Okay,
Thank
I'm
you.
just going to go over the shows. And let's see here. The missus, did you have anything you wanted to say before I close down?
Thanks for the lesson in U.S. politics.
What's that?
Oh, go ahead, the missus.
I'm sorry I joined the conversation so late. So I was really trying
That's
to get
okay.
in a little earlier. I just, well, there was, we've been following the campaign trail on the Beaver Network here, right, on all the different shows. Strong Woman, we are looking for a youth show from the youth perspective. Your daughter sounds perfect. We have a perfect slot. Just throw a little idea at her for the Beaver Network.
I will, but she's right in the middle of her first year law exams. They just
Yeah, that's
started last
important.
week. She has
Will
another one. And
will
yeah. But thank you. I will tell her. I will tell her.
Okay, and the real content. Did you want to add anything before we shut down?
Yeah, no, just yeah. Thank you for letting me up.
You're welcome. Anytime. Okay.
Um, I think, the one thing that I haven't heard any of the candidates talk about, and I'm disappointed, was, talk about, mental health and, um, betterment for our veterans. Because I haven't seen a lot of talk about that. My grandfather was a World War II veteran. He was at Normandy,
Mm-hmm.
and I happen to be a part of a veterans group. Canadian Armed Forces,
Okay.
and a lot of them have served in combat, from Afghanistan to Crete to protecting embassies in Colombia during Pablo Escobar's days. And I think mental health for our veterans is paramount. Because if we can't help them, we owe them as a nation. We never
I
asked
agree.
for them to go sign
But
up.
I want to remind you, I'm a veteran. My husband was a veteran. He served in Bosnia and Afghanistan. He passed away due to his PTSD 3 years ago. I was living in the PMQs, like in the army housing when when Harper was in, and he did nothing for veterans. The PCs just, I know PP is saying he's going to do something, and I'll take a look at what he's saying, but I don't trust them because they cut the military. We don't need cuts to the military right now.
No.
We need to be doing better with the military. We need to be paying them better, taking care of them better, and we need more, frankly, because the world has changed.
Well,
And we need to
exactly.
build it up. But you can't build it up unless you're going to support the people that you're building. So just we need better access to mental health care and less stigma. And PP, in a lot of the things he says, like let's be honest, he talks about the liberal mind virus. He's stigmatizing mental health. I don't want
Yeah,
someone who stigmatizes mental health as the leader of my country.
yeah, exactly. Because
Can
I
I
mean,
mention that because I think it would be good information for the real Clark to know on the Beaver Network here we have a new show that's going to be starting on Monday, and it's going to be Taylor's Warrior is going to be the host. Now he's an experienced combat veteran, and his show is going to be called Echoes of Duty. I am
Okay.
really looking forward to tapping in and seeing probably the kind of conversation you're talking about right now. His show is supposed to launch this Monday. Um, if you want, I can send you a DM and a link for when he does start his show.
Yeah.
yeah, I would really appreciate that because
Cool.
I know for myself personally, a lot of the friends that I have, one of my closest, and he was a former boss. He was an MP with the CAF for 25 years, and he was in Syria long before the Assad regime took over. Part of his duties was protecting the embassies, and as unfortunately as a part of those services, he suffers with PTSD. He is a very well-rounded person, and I have the utmost respect for him. And it's just one of those things that it's important. We owe
Yeah,
them that.
absolutely. We need to take care of our veterans, and we need to take care of the men that are men and women that are in service now. And we need to build. But when we're building, we need to consider their emotional health just as much as their physical health, and that's really important. That's what I would want to take away from that: is that we need to do better for our soldiers and our veterans. Mysteries, did you have anything you want to add before I shut down?
Yeah, I think we need to protect our troops from whatever the government is not doing for them.
Mm-hmm. Fair. Okay, so I'm gonna just do my final blurb here. So thank you so much to everyone who's been here today. All of the guests, thank you so much. We couldn't do this show without you and everybody here. Uh, the next show that we're going to be having is tonight. It's called Radicalized with your host, Mr. Radical. It is at 5 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Mountain, 8 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. AST. And he talks about the gray matter of politics and how religion is impacting the political atmosphere. On Sunday, we have The Undamned, which with our hosts Zen and Urban. That is at 10:30 and Mountain Standard or 12:30 Eastern Standard Time, and they focus on the unhoused issues and solutions, encouraging political will, leadership, and collaboration among community and local programs. Then we have A Damn Happy Life with our host Happy in the evening, and that is at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 3:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And he talks about success, accountability, and happiness, moments of inspiration, epiphanies, or a change in direction that impacts happiness in people. Then on Monday afternoon, evening, I should say. Oh, no, afternoon, we have Veterans Affairs. We're changing the name as, what is the new name, the Mrs.? Oh, she's gone. Okay. And it's with Salish Warrior, and it's 1 p.m. Pacific, and it's Veterans Issues and Military Education. Then we have Indigenous Matters with our host, Treaty Six Birder, and that is 6 p.m. Mountain, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And she goes into the effects of political on Indigenous communities and how Indigenous people can affect the political structure. Great conversation always had there. Tuesdays, we have News Hour with Frontline Feminist. She brings a wealth of knowledge. It is 8 p.m. Eastern or 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, and it highlights the biggest news from the weekend and news that you might be missing and bring it to the forefront. Then on Wednesdays, we have the Mossy Side with our host, Progressive Moose. That is at 6 p.m. Mountain, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it's the messy side of politics, doing deep dives into weekly topics. And then on Thursdays, we have Finding Your Own Damn Way with our host, The Missus. That's 2 p.m. Mountain, 4 p.m. Eastern, and it's education, resources, and solutions to assist people to navigate the Canadian political landscape. In the evening, we have Truth Through Discourse with Mrs. Radical and Frontline Feminist. That is 6 p.m. Mountain, 8 p.m. Eastern, and it's weekly discussions on relevant news topics and social issues. And then late in the evening, we have The Purple Crayon with Pixie Lee, or the Night Show with Pixie Lee, and that is 11 p.m. Mountain, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it's just a comfortable conversation and with some humor. And on Fridays, we have The Rainbow Connection with Sean and the Pasty Native. This is on 10:30 Mountain or 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. And their content is LGBTQ2S+ issues, legislation, and personal testaments. On the same night on Fridays, we have Polity-Talk with Frontline Feminist, and that is 6 p.m. Mountain, 8 p.m. Eastern. And this is the opportunity for any of you who are in here who they're ops and want to debate. You can come and talk and do some debates about social issues, focusing on Canada, the United States, and the geopolitical world. And that is it. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming. I really appreciate you all. And have a great rest of your Saturday afternoon, and we'll see you next week. Take
You
care.
too. Have a good night.
Bye. Good for now.
Bye.
Bye for now. Have a good night.